Hey there guys, welcome to Bombasher 360. I am your host Adam and you're watching a video. Okay, so this is part 2 of the Paint.net series. Here is all of the more technical features of Paint.net. So I'm going to go up to the Windows file up here and click on History because that is actually a feature of Paint.net. Okay, so I'm going to begin where I left off on part 1 and I'm going to start with the colors. So if you start off by pressing the More button, you get the RGB section where you can literally create any color known to man. Here is the main colors. You need to select a color first because black isn't actually on this color palette and neither is white. And you can create any color, which you can see in the color palette up here as they're changing. Now these are just the basic colors. So if I go to red, you can decide how light you want this red to be or how dark you want it to be. This is where you get your black and your white from. Up here, right down here, you see transparency alpha. This is where you can choose to see how transparent you want this red to be. You can also precisely choose what you want it to be by typing it down or by bumping it up unit by unit. If you go up here, again, how dark, how you want it to change from red to a yellow color, to a green color, to a black color, let's just say, or to a blue color, or then to a darker blue, to etc, etc. So next, if you want to get back to your average black and white, without having to click on black and white, you can click up here where it says black and white and it automatically changes it to black and white. Easy. Okay, so a new shortcut to know. If you hover over here, it says increase brush size. If you press Control and then click it, it increases it by 5, which can be useful if you want to go up really quickly. Always trying to stick to whole numbers that are multiple of 5 because it's very easy to remember. Okay, so I'm now going to say that I believe you can manage, you can save colors from your color palette and you can add a color to a color palette. I'm not going to go into detail on that because I don't really know how to use it myself very well. Okay, so I'm now going to move on to the layers part. For the layers, you can draw a nice picture. I think the easiest way to show you layers is here on my actual terrain.png for my texture pack. Okay, so I'm going to take off pixel. I'm going to take off display pixel grid for example purposes. And I'm going to go to this, which is bedrock. Using the rectangular select key tool by pressing the S key, I have now highlighted it, and you can see on my history that it said I've opened an image, I've chosen it and I've selected it. I'm now going to copy it. You can also copy by pressing Control and then C, and I'm now going to press this button on the layers section, which is add layer. What that does is it's just made a new layer on top of this layer, so I can now press this tick button and it won't erase it, but it will just hide it. And you see that this layer is highlighted. If I press Control V, which is paste, it's now pasted it onto this layer, and down here on the history file it shows what is visible and what isn't. So what I can do now is let's just say I'm going to draw a nice big red line, big cross there. If I hide this layer and show this layer, nothing has been changed, but this layer is now is permanently over this whole layer here. So if I press this button to show it, you will now have this bedrock over it. What you can do here is you can either move it, and it's just moving this layer here. As you can see in the little box, it's moving a little bit. So yeah, that's what the layers does. That's what the layers does. That's very, very useful. You have no idea how useful layers are until you actually use it in a specialized situation, i.e. if you're making a thumbnail, which is what I like to do a lot, you can get your background image, and then you can put a layer on top of it, and you can edit the layer, and then do other stuff. And then once you're happy with it, you can either save it, or, yeah, you can save it. But if you save it with layers in, it will only allow you to save it as a paint.net file, not a PNG. To combat that, you need to flatten all your layers. To flatten them, you need to merge a layer down, and etc, etc. So what if I want, so as you probably saw in my, wait, let me just show you the merge layer down. Boom, so now it's all one layer now. I'm going to open up 3 layers. In layer 2, I'm going to draw, in red, a giant squiggly circle. And in layer 3, I'm going to draw a big blue squiggly circle. Okay, so what I wanted to do, as you can see, the blue layer is over the red layer and over this layer. You can move a layer down so that now the red layer is on top of the blue one, and if I move it down again, it's now behind the terrain. This is what I meant by thumbnails. Now, if I wanted to use this blue layer as a template for the red layer, actually no, if I want to use the red layer as a template to the blue layer, I have to click on it, which means I've selected this layer, so if I draw anything, I will only draw on this red layer. Now, if I wanted to use it as a template with a black brush, I can click on to properties of layer 2. I can change its name to red layer. You can decide what mode you want it to be on, which is in the effects up here. No, adjustments, sorry. I don't really use this, but for purposes of display, I'll just show you what it can do. You can use a scroll button to adjust it to different ones, or you can literally click on what. I'm going to keep it on normal for now. And to have it as a template, you can click on the opacity and move it down so it's slightly see-through. You can have it as precise as you want or as random as you like. Now you can see that I've changed its name to red layer, and it's slightly opaque. So if I want, I can now make a 4th layer and go to here and call it black layer. And with the black layer, I can actually go pixel by pixel, if need be, over this red layer. Or with the brush, I can go over it like that. That's what I use if I have a template for a skin or a template for a mob skin or texture that I really like, and I want to draw over that so I know which is the front and which is the back. So now I want to get rid of the black layer, the blue layer, and the red layer. To do that, you click on the layer and then you click on delete, and now it's deleted it and moved down to the next layer. So I don't actually need to re-click it. You can just press delete layer, delete layer. It won't let you delete the main layer because you need to have a main layer, and the main layer is automatically called the background layer. Okay, so now I'm going to move on, and I'm going to this section, which I have already made by making a new window, like that. Another thing which is important to know, if I want to make random textures, to do that, no, not random textures, like animated textures, like I've done with this one here, which is a diamond block. If I wanted to do it with, I don't know, this block here, if I highlight it, copy it, and then make a new bit, it will automatically adjust to what's in your copy bin, which is what I've copied. So this block has been 64 by 64 pixels. If I copied, I don't know, that section, and then made a new one. Oops, sorry, and then copy it, and then make a new one. That was 283 by 229 pixels. That I'm just saying that in case you wanted to make a new bit, which I did before. I wanted it to be this big, but I had a 64 by 64 already copied, and that went to go press new, and for some reason it made a really small one in comparison to this. Okay, so another important thing to note is when I was doing the texturing for a torch, which is here, I didn't know where the half point was or where the 64 pixels end, because my text pattern is 64 by 64. So I used to before had to go like this and count all the way down until I got to 64, which was really difficult, to be honest. What I figured out is if you go to the rectangular select tool, go to the corner and drag it, in the bottom, right at the bottom of the screen, I'll probably highlight it now, you can see the bounding rectangle size, and at the moment it is 59 by 69 with an area pixels of 4071. So here I'm just highlighting how many pixels I have chosen, and here is 63 by 64, 64 by 64, and highlighted area of 4096 pixels. And that's how you find out how many pixels are in the area that you've chosen and how big the area is in pixels, which is extremely useful and I use all the time, especially for mega builds where I have drawn something on a straight line but I don't actually know how many pixels long that is or how many blocks it will be. So you highlight it, scroll along, and that is 133 pixels by 1 pixel. So that's very, very useful. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to here. I'm not going to save any of this, by the way. I'm going to go to adjustments. In the adjustments section, there is auto level, black and white, brightness and contrast, curve, hue and saturation, invert colors, levels, and these two, Propozes and Skepta. I think that's how you pronounce it. I'm not entirely sure. I don't use Skepta. This one. I don't use this one. This one. This one. This one. And I think that's about it. Occasionally I use the rest. So in the adjustment files, what it does is if I highlight everything and then go to adjustments, I can turn everything black and white by pressing it, and also it has a shortcut key of Control, Shift, and G. So by doing that, everything is now black and white, as you can tell. Just undoing. If I go to brightness and contrast, I can decide how bright I want it to be, or how dark I want it to be, and by clicking here it resets it, or the contrast of the colours, how black and white, or how full of rich, too bright a colour. Again, rarely ever use it, but occasionally do. For the curves, this I don't really understand very much, but you can, if you understand it, then go ahead. Here's some sections that you can choose between, and you can play with it. I believe this is the color. I've told you I don't really use the adjustments. I'm a pixel artist, so I don't really know what I'm doing now. But you can tell, you can see how it affects the picture, and it makes it look very weird, to be honest. And you can reset it, pressing reset. Hue and saturation I use quite a bit because, well, it helps. Oh, sorry, I shouldn't press that. Yeah, so Hugo changes the color. And this is how I create my random mobs when I want to have different colors of them. So for instance, when I made my Iron Golem, I had to literally go around each part because the red was too similar to the black. But when I made my spiders, I could literally highlight the section I wanted to change, and then go into the hue and change it from, let's just say, actually it's easier to show you here. If I make a blue box, and then I highlight this said blue box, and then I go to adjustments and hue saturation. If I want to change its color, you go to here, and you can see it's changing. And that's how you can create random colors. Saturation, how dark or how broad the color is or how dull it is. And lightness and darkness is kind of self-explanatory. Okay. Invert colors. It changes it. It goes to its opposite color, so opposite of, yeah, I believe anyway. I'm not entirely sure myself. This is unprofessional, but this is the truth. Yeah, so it just basically goes to the opposite of what that color is. So if I go to blue and then invert colors, it changes it to that yellow. If I invert that again, it goes to that blue. Okay, self-explanatory. For the levels, you can show the levels, and yeah, it's the same basically as other things, where you can change what level of red, blue, and what red, green, and blue you want, which is the main colors that bits kind of review. You can turn off the green and have it so that it only, turn off the red so it only changes between red and green and blue and whatever, I don't know. And then these ones I don't use. I try to avoid these because I don't know anything about them, as you can tell now. And whatever this does, it just turns everything brown, I believe. Right, if I have a red. Yeah, it just turns everything brown. I don't know what it does, I'm sorry. Okay, so if I go to the effects, you have all these different effects to use. I don't use them at all because I don't really know what they do. Again, it's so weird. They're mainly for like photo editing, like when you can add clouds to make it look more cloudy, to make it look what the hell? Yeah, just to do different things that I don't understand. I just basically stick with pixel art. If you want to know any more about this, I can do more research and I can try and figure it out for you. Okay, so I'm gonna show you something. So I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back, and as you can see here is a typical. Well, here's Steve basically, but is a villager according to Minecraft's whatever law. And if I wanted to select Steve's face, I can do so fairly easily. But then what if I also wanted to select his body as well, because I wanted to move them both or get them both as a different layer? I can open up a layer and I can either copy and paste. If I click on the layer background, I can then paste it into here, and there it is. And then I can highlight his body, copy that, and then paste it there, and then have his head and body like that, and I can put them together if I liked. But I don't want to do that because that's time wasting. So if you go to his face and highlight it, and then scroll down to his body and press Control and hold it, you can see a little plus symbol has appeared on the select key tool, and you can select it as well. And then if I scroll out, I've selected his face and his body, which I can then copy and then paste into this, and it has grouped and selected them both together, which is very useful if you want to select separate parts, and then, I don't know, if you wanted to delete them perhaps. I've deleted them in this layer, but they're already here in this one, so that's how it should look. I'm going to delete this layer for example's sake. So that's a very useful tool. If I wanted to, well, if I close this layer and I wanted to select this blue part of his body by going to the magic wand. I selected the blue part, and what I also wanted to select his eyes as well. If I again hold Control, a little plus symbol has appeared. I need to turn up the tolerance. Actually, turn it down. There we go. And I've specifically selected that part of his eyes. And there I can then delete them, and he looks like a weird see-through Herobrine or whatever. I'm going to turn it back to 50. Okay, so another feature is if you wanted to close your tools, close your layers, and just have your colors there, which is what I actually do when I'm texturing, because I know where everything is. Like I've chosen the pencil, I've chosen the brush. But if you do this and you don't know all of the, and you wanted to have the filler tool, I know that it's F. But if you didn't know that and you just had the brush on, you could actually go up here to the tools, collect paint bucket, and then go back to your pencil. If you wanted to make a new layer, you can press Control L. Nope, that was incorrect. But you can actually just go up to here, up to Windows, and create a layer. Or you can go to the Layers folder file up here, and then press Add New Layer, which is Control Shift N, which I completely forgot, I don't know why. But Control Shift N for New Layer. And I've added a new layer, and then I go to here, Layers, and you can duplicate a layer, you can move a layer down, but you can't actually see your layers unless you go up to here and press F7 to get your layers back. Okay, so that concludes the more technical part of this mini-series. If it has helped, again, you can click the like or favorite or whatever. If you have any more requests, you can put them in the description. And yeah, so I'm going to put on the screen the 3 selectors again, so you can choose to go back to the first part of this series. You can rewatch this one if you click on the middle part, or if you click on the last part, you'll see how I actually use these features on creating a texture for my texture pack. So I'll give you a couple seconds to click on those. Okay, thanks for watching guys, hope you enjoyed, and goodbye.